Ken Curtis. You ever wonder what happens when the people we see as friendly, lovable TV characters turn out to have grudges behind the scenes? Well, buckle up, because today we're talking about Ken Curtis, the man millions adored as Festus on Gunsmoke. He was funny, scruffy, and had that raspy voice we all loved. But away from Dodge City, Ken carried some serious bitterness, and before he passed, he let it slip who in Hollywood he really couldn't stand. So, who made that list? And why did he keep quiet about it for so long? Let's dive in. Born Curtis Wayne Gates in Lamar, Colorado, back in 1916, Ken's childhood was anything but ordinary. His dad was the county sheriff, and the family lived right above the jailhouse. Picture that. Other kids were out playing baseball in the yard, while little Ken's playground was steel bars and the clanging sound of cell doors. His mom cooked meals for the inmates, and Ken would watch her pass food through the bars. That unusual start shaped him in ways most of us can't even imagine. At first, his parents wanted him to take the safe road. He even went to Colorado College to study medicine. But you know how it is. Your heart knows where you belong. For Ken, that was music. He ditched the doctor dream and threw himself into singing. Risky? Absolutely. But soon enough, he landed his first huge break. He joined Tommy Dorsey's orchestra as a vocalist, stepping into the spotlight not long after Frank Sinatra had left. Talk about big shoes to fill, right? But Ken nailed it, thanks to his smooth voice and natural stage presence. Around this time, he dropped his birth name and became Ken Curtis, a sharper, showbiz-ready name that stuck for the rest of his life. From there, Ken found his sweet spot in Western music. He became the lead singer of the Sons of the Pioneers, helping make classics like Room Full of Roses and Ghost Riders in the Sky timeless favorites. He even hosted his own radio show, Chuck Wagon Jamboree, where he mixed cowboy songs with lighthearted banter. It was basically an early version of the charm he'd later bring to television. But music was just the start. Hollywood came calling. By the late 1940 seconds, Ken was showing up in Western musicals and cowboy films, eventually working with legends like John Wayne and director John Ford. He wasn't chasing flashy roles, he liked parts with grit and authenticity. And that attitude made him stand out. Then came the role that would change everything: Festus Haggen on Gunsmoke. When Dennis Weaver, who played Chester, left the show, producers needed someone new. Festus was supposed to appear just once, but audiences loved him instantly. His scratchy voice, his offbeat humor, his loyalty. Festus became the soul of Gunsmoke. Ken stuck with the role for 11 years, appearing in over 300 episodes. And here's where the story gets spicy. Behind the scenes, not everything was as warm and friendly as it looked. Let's start with James Arness, the man who played Marshal Matt Dillon. He was the towering star of the show. Fans loved him, but working under his shadow wasn't easy. Curtis's Festus became a fan favorite, but no matter how popular he got, he was still the deputy, always second to Arness. Did that bother him? Let's just say, it left a mark. Then there was Milburn Stone, who played Doc Adams. Stone had been there since day one, so he carried seniority. By the time Ken joined, the cast already had its rhythm. And when two strong personalities like Stone and Curtis clashed, sparks flew. Rumors say they butted heads over screen time and scripts, but on camera, that tension weirdly made their scenes feel even more real. The next name? John Mantley, the producer. This wasn't just rumor, this was real conflict. Mantley ran a tight ship, always cutting budgets and keeping actors in check. Curtis felt Festus deserved more screen time and definitely better pay. The two went at it more than once, with Ken demanding fairness while Mantley kept the reins tight. Then came Amanda Blake, who played Miss Kitty. She was the fiery heart of Dodge City, and fans adored her. But whispers started, Was she annoyed at Festus's growing popularity? Some say she was. Others claim it was just fan gossip. Either way, stories of tension lingered, though on screen you'd never know. Their chemistry stayed strong. And finally, Dennis Weaver, the original Deputy Chester. Even though Weaver left before Festus arrived, the comparison was unavoidable. Fans debated who was better, and Ken may have quietly resented always being compared to his predecessor. Still, he carved out Festus as his own, proving he didn't just fill shoes, he made a whole new pair. But what about Ken's life off camera? Well, it wasn't all easy. He went through 2 marriages before finding the love of his life, Tori Connolly, in 1966. She wasn't part of Hollywood, and that's exactly what Ken needed. She was grounded, genuine, and gave him a family life he never really had before. They stayed together until the end, with Ken becoming a stepfather to her kids and finally finding peace away from the spotlight. Even so, his career had its ups and downs. One of the most talked about moments came in 1987 when Gunsmoke Returned to Dodge aired. Fans were shocked. Festus wasn't in it. The truth? Ken had been asked to return, but the paycheck was so low, he felt disrespected. After giving over a decade to that role, he walked away on principle. Some fans were disappointed, but many understood Festus deserved better. Ken stayed politically outspoken too. While most Western stars avoided politics, he backed Barry Goldwater in 1964 and later campaigned for Ronald Reagan. It wasn't typical for TV cowboys to take sides, but Ken was never afraid to stand for what he believed. His last roles were quieter but meaningful. He popped up in The Yellow Rose in 1983, and his final film appearance was in 1991's Conager with Sam Elliott. Not flashy, just honest roles that fit him perfectly. Sadly, that same year, Ken passed away at 74 after a heart attack at home in California. His ashes were scattered across the Colorado plains where he grew up. Simple, poetic. The kind of ending you'd expect from a man who always carried the West in his heart. So here's the takeaway. Ken Curtis wasn't just Festus. He was a singer, an actor, a fighter, and a man who stood up for himself even if it meant walking away. His grudges may surprise some, but his legacy is bigger than any feud. He gave us a character that fans still love decades later, and in the end, that's what he's remembered for. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from the golden days of Hollywood. And hey, what do you think? Was Festus the best sidekick in TV Western history? Let me know in the comments.